Hey, I'm about to walk into our performance studio right now, and I want to talk about, is there one product that you can take that does literally a holistic, like the whole approach of performance? Is there one above the rest? And what I found in 20 some years of my career is we've tried a lot of different products to help people perform better. And things like creatine, things like a pre-workout, post-workout, things that aren't legal anymore. Anybody remember the ephedra? I mean, come on, that was pretty good stuff, right? But the reality is over the last 10 years, we've been actually playing with a product that has hit all the dockets. Now, it doesn't mean that some of those other products don't have value, but it's hit all the other dockets, meaning amplified performance, increasing VO2 max, improving oxygen efficiency, improving ATP production. It helps with recovery. It keeps up your stamina. We've seen it with endurance athletes. We've seen it with power athletes. We've seen it with sports athletes. We've seen an increase in cognition reaction time. And so it's pretty cool that you have a product that can hit all dockets. To me, it's the first product you take on your performance regimen, and then use other things to amplify those individual things that you may be looking for. And so this is, of course, the product I've been promoting now for over 10 years. It's called Ketones, the drinkable ketones. And I've partnered with a company that I respect the most because they have the most bioidentical, pure therapeutic, and they have the most research, and they have the most testimonials, and they have the most testing in anybody in the entire world. And so I've used it with Tour de France athletes. I've used it with Olympic athletes, from power athletes. And I do some things very differently. I want to talk about that too. I have also used it with ultra endurance athletes, people that have done 100, 200-mile runs, races. I had a guy that rode his bike from Mexico to Canada border. We've used it strategically there. I had a guy in his 70s use it to go across America and the big bike ride across America. And then, of course, I use it with a lot of younger athletes, more for fine tuning, because the younger athletes has an advantage over the older athlete in different ways. They have youth is a huge advantage. There's actually some reasons why younger athletes have this advantage. Now, at the end of the day, like, the work still has to go in, right? It's not going to magically make you better. But if you're at where you're at right now, let's say that you're a young athlete and you're right in the middle of the pack in your performance, using our product, you're going to start seeing yourself move to the top of the pack. Now, the challenge is you don't tell your friend, which you should do that too, because he probably should benefit from it also. But I'm working with a young football player right now, getting ready for college prep. And at the end of the day, he needs to put on mass. He needs to keep his power. He needs to keep his endurance, but he doesn't want to put on excessive weight. Well, what's he going to do with that? Like, what's the product he needs to take? And so we're putting him on a full plan where he has his workout plan, his nutritional plan, and then his supplement plan. And what are the most effectives? Now, he has a limitation in cost. Like, what should he put his money into? And to me, it's very simple. First, ketones. Second thing is creatine. Third thing is protein, because he can eat protein. Otherwise, we're going to supplement protein. So that's kind of the pecking order for that particular athlete. Now, an endurance athlete's a little different, right? Endurance athlete, we might want to keep weight down a little bit more on them. So we might moderate protein just to be specifically for him to not lose muscle mass. But we might use creatine still. Maybe not, depends on the athlete, and how much weight they gain with it. And then we use ketones first, because ketones are going to give him the most benefit out of his performance routine long term. And then we have our older athletes, where it's more about maintaining their peak performance. And at the same time, yeah, if we can get a little bit more, we will. But at the meantime, we want to maintain it. But what they notice is the increased cognitive benefits, right? So like a young athlete doesn't necessarily see the huge cognitive enhancement that ketones provide as the old athlete. And the reason why that is because injuries to the head slow down that cognitive response. Aging itself does. Also, as we get older, glucose doesn't uptake as well to the brain, so that's a factor. We also know damaged protein builds up, and so releasing that damaged protein, which ketones do, also helps with the energy of the brain. So they notice more of the mental clarity and the focus. But you typically only notice the contrast of the mental clarity and focus once yours is declined. You don't notice it when you're at your peak as much. You might see a little bit, the high level athletes, they'll see a little bit even in their 20s. But our athletes in their 30s see a lot because they didn't realize the decline they're on. They maybe did, but they didn't want to accept it. So what we found is really simple. So you use ketones, and they do a few things. One is they repair, or they amplify ATP production, so your energy production goes up, right? Number two is you utilize less oxygen under tension, and this is super important. So meaning that if you're a biker, or let's say you're a basketball player or a football player or a baseball player, I was just did an interview with a baseball guy. And you may not see a huge change in your first inning or two. You may not see a huge change in the first quarter, but the third and fourth and fifth quarter, if they go to overtime, fifth inning, you're going to see improvements because your stamina is going to stay higher. You can stay higher longer. And that's a huge benefit. Now, what's hard for athletes is that unless we can measure that, you don't always know. Because if you're at the top of your game, you might get a 1 or 2% increase in your performance at the, right now, right at your first 10 minutes or first 30 minutes or your one lift that you're doing. And that's great. And that might be the difference between a gold medal and a silver medal, or not medal at all for my Olympic athletes. But for my regular athletes, typically that's not like, wow, it's not a game changer for you. But now let's measure you again when you're tired. Let's measure you again in the third or fourth quarter and see what happens. You're going to see an exponential improvement in performance when you're at a fatigue state. And this is what ketones have been shown to do, because you can still maintain that APT production even under fatigue. You're going to still utilize less oxygen under fatigue, and you have more in the tank. Your VO2 max can go up. So you have more to push when you need it, when it matters the most. So you're able to stay here. Think about golf, right? When are golfers usually suffer at their game is in the 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th hole. So if you have more in the tank and you can finish stronger, you're going to less likely screw it up. And it usually has to do with fatigue. It's a fatigue component to it. And so, yes, nutrition's important and training's, pre-training's performance, but this is about optimizing. This is about the next level. So this product has been the biggest game changer in all around performance, because it's the only product in the world that is going to amplify and really help improve not only the energy output from how you perform right now, but also how you recover and how you repair and how you feel and how you move and how you do everything else all the way around it. So if you've not tried this already, it's going to be completely shift your life forever, and you should definitely try it. It's the #1 product you should ever use. And I can talk about the other ones I recommend, but this is the gold standard. Cheers.